Have you ever noticed? Sometimes, just when a man seems to be at his most passionate and deeply in love, he suddenly begins to pull away. At first, he's closer than ever, but then, out of nowhere, he becomes distant and withdrawn. This is a phenomenon that has puzzled women for centuries and has led many relationships to a dead end. But what if I told you that this withdrawal is not a sign of indifference, but rather a reflection of deep and genuine emotions? Today, we're diving into the depths of male psychology. Why does a man pull away when everything seems to be going well? Why does he express his emotions through distance? And most importantly, how can you manage this situation in a healthy way? If your partner's distant behavior leaves you feeling anxious and confused, this insight may help. Listen closely until the end, because what you learn today might completely change your perspective on relationships. The complexity of human relationships. Human relationships are complex, filled with contradictions and subtle details that challenge our logic. One of the most surprising aspects of love is that sometimes it is expressed through distance. The famous Swiss psychologist Carl Jung studied unconscious dynamics in relationships and paid special attention to this intriguing phenomenon. Most of us associate closeness and love with physical or emotional connection. However, male psychology operates in ways that many women don't expect. It's common to assume that when a man becomes distant, it means he is losing interest. But the truth is often quite different. Men process emotions in unique ways. While women tend to share and talk about their feelings to make sense of them, men often withdraw into themselves and go through an internal process. According to Jung's theory of psychological introspection, when men experience strong emotions, they retreat into their inner world to process them. This is a necessary phase that helps them understand their emotions and align them with their identity. Why does a man pull away? Even when everything seems to be going well, a man may suddenly create distance. But why? There are a few key reasons. 1. Emotional intensity and processing. The male brain processes emotional experiences in separate compartments. When emotions become overwhelming, a man may feel the need to step back. While women often process emotions by sharing them, men do it by withdrawing, reflecting, and navigating their inner world. 2. Evaluating the seriousness of the relationship. As a relationship deepens, a man may subconsciously take a step back to evaluate the situation. This isn't always a conscious decision. It's often a natural process that helps him prepare for a stronger commitment. 3. A self-protection mechanism. Love brings the risk of emotional pain. If a man fears rejection or worries that his feelings may not be reciprocated, he might pull away to protect himself. However, this does not necessarily mean he doesn't care. In fact, it can be a sign that his emotions are deeper than they appear. How do women typically react? One of the most common reactions is panic, the instinct to chase after him when he pulls away. However, this often has the opposite effect, making him feel even more trapped and pushing him further away. Another common reaction is self-blame. Thoughts like, did I do something wrong? Was I too much? Does he not love me anymore? May start to take over your mind. But in most cases, his withdrawal has nothing to do with you. Some women react by mirroring his behavior, becoming cold and distant as a form of retaliation or self-defense. However, this can turn the relationship into a power struggle, creating a barrier that is difficult to break. The key here is to respond correctly. How you handle this period can determine whether the relationship remains healthy or falls apart. So, what should you do? 1. Give him space. As contradictory as it may seem, allowing a man to complete his emotional processing is one of the best ways to strengthen the relationship. Avoid pressuring, blaming, or manipulating him. Let him have the time he needs. 2. Focus on your own life. Use this period as an opportunity for personal growth. Invest time in your hobbies, spend time with your friends, and take care of yourself. Remember, an independent woman is always more attractive and valuable. 3. Avoid negative assumptions. Instead of assuming the worst, acknowledge that this distance may simply be part of his emotional process. His withdrawal does not mean he no longer cares. 4. Communicate openly, but without pressure. If you feel the need to talk about it, do so without overwhelming him. A simple and open-ended question like, "I've noticed you've been a bit distant lately. Would you like to talk about it?" can provide clarity without creating pressure. 5. Set healthy boundaries. Giving him space does not mean tolerating disrespect. If a man consistently avoids commitment, keeps running away, and leaves you in a constant state of uncertainty, it's important to reassess the relationship's health. 6. Be patient. Emotional processing takes time, not just for him, but for you as well. Understanding and managing your own reactions is just as important. Healthy relationships grow through ups and downs, not through constant reassurance. As Carl Jung said, the greatest inner discoveries happen when we start to understand ourselves and others better. Turning distance into growth. If a man's distance makes you anxious, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, what fears does this distance trigger in me? Am I truly happy in this relationship? Or am I waiting for something to change? Is this distance a phase that will strengthen our relationship? Or is it making me feel worse? Seeing this as a growth opportunity rather than a threat can transform the way you approach relationships. Because sometimes, true love reveals itself even in distance. Is distance a breakup or a necessary growth phase? Is distance in a relationship a sign of an inevitable breakup? Or is it a natural part of two people growing together? Remember, a healthy relationship isn't just about being together. It's also about growing individually. You're valuable and worthy of love, regardless of how someone else behaves. No distance can change that. Your worth is not defined by a relationship. A person's worth cannot be measured solely by their presence in a romantic relationship. When you define yourself only through your role in a relationship, you risk losing your emotional balance. True confidence, however, is not born from fear, but from inner strength and clarity. So, is a man's distance truly a sign that he is developing deeper feelings? Or is it an indication that he is losing interest? There are key signals that can help you distinguish between the two. How does a man who truly loves you behave? If a man genuinely loves you, he may pull away at times, but he won't disappear completely. Here are some signs to look for. 1. He doesn't cut off. Communication calls and messages may become less frequent, but they don't completely stop. He still maintains a connection with you. 2. He remains open to future plans. Even if he's going through a phase of emotional distance, he doesn't completely shut down discussions about the future. When making plans, he still considers you. 3. His body language still shows interest when he's around you. He maintains eye contact, listens attentively, and enjoys your presence. Even if he's distant in some ways, he continues to seek physical closeness. 4. He returns stronger after distance. If he truly values you, once his period of withdrawal is over, he will return more open, clear, and warm toward you. For him, this process is essential to balance his emotional intensity and understand the importance of the relationship. If a man needs space but genuinely cares about you, he will come back more secure and emotionally stable. How does a man who has lost interest behave? A man's distance can sometimes be a natural emotional processing phase, but other times it can indicate that he no longer values the relationship. How can you tell the difference? 1. He gradually reduces and weakens. Communication conversations that once lasted for hours become shorter, colder, and less engaged. This is a major warning sign. 2. He avoids making plans. He shows little interest in discussing the future, frequently postpones plans, or finds excuses to cancel them. 3. His body language becomes cold and distant. Even when he is physically present, he seems mentally absent. He avoids eye contact, his conversations feel empty, and his energy lacks connection. The distance continues to grow over time. If his withdrawal is not temporary, but turns into a consistent pattern of increasing detachment, it may be a sign that the relationship is approaching its end. At this point, the key is to recognize that occasional distance in a relationship can be normal. However, it is crucial to observe whether this distance ultimately strengthens the relationship or signals its decline. What should you do when he pulls away? 1. Give him space. Sometimes a man needs time to process his emotions and regain his balance. If you trust his feelings, don't panic. Allow him to go through this process without interference. 2. Focus on your own life. Instead of constantly wondering, why is he ignoring me? See this as an opportunity for self-growth. Invest in your hobbies, spend time with friends, and continue to nurture your own happiness. 3. Communicate clearly but without pressure. Express your feelings without blaming or pressuring him. A gentle and open-ended question like, "I've noticed you've been a little distant lately. Would you like to talk about it?" allows for open communication without forcing a response. 4. Set healthy boundaries. Giving space does not mean tolerating neglect or disrespect. If a man continuously avoids commitment, creates uncertainty, and leaves you emotionally confused, you must reflect on whether the relationship is healthy for you. 5. Accept reality as it is not. All distance is a sign of love. If a man consistently avoids spending time with you and keeps you in a state of emotional uncertainty, it's time to question whether the relationship is truly fulfilling your needs. Letting go can also be an act of love. Sometimes distance can provide an opportunity for a relationship to grow stronger. However, in other cases, it is a sign that the relationship is no longer progressing. At such moments, learning to let go can be one of the most powerful and transformative decisions you make. If a relationship no longer nurtures you, but instead drains your energy and keeps you in constant doubt, it may be time to walk away. Letting go is not giving up. It is sometimes the purest expression of love. True love does not come from forcing someone to stay, but from accepting them as they are. If a relationship is truly meant for you, it will naturally find its balance over time. As Carl Jung once said, psychological growth happens through symbolic deaths. Sometimes, letting go of old patterns, expectations, and attachments is what allows new beginnings to unfold. Love should be rooted in freedom and individuality. Instead of panicking when someone creates distance, ask yourself, does this relationship empower me or does it drain me? What fears is this distance triggering within me? Am I truly happy in this relationship, or am I just waiting for things to change? The answers to these questions will help you gain deeper insight into your relationship. Your worth is not defined by your relationship. The way someone treats you does not determine your value. Your emotional well-being depends not on how others make you feel, but on how you care for yourself. Real love is not about pressure, force, or control. It is about acceptance and understanding. If a relationship is truly healthy, it will naturally find its balance over time. And most importantly, you are already worthy of love, and no distance can ever change that.